Well, I just remember being that typical, like I picture my kids, just like video games and
Kind of in their own little
yeah,
world.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very separate from adult
Yeah.
reality of how quick life can
Mhm.
slap you in the face or
Yeah.
knock you down. In this case, my parents. But 'cause
Yeah.
my sister was always one of those people. She was very athletic. She did a lot of things. She was always very active. Did great in school, and I think for a lot of families that may not have had to deal with any sort of drugs or alcohol abuse with their kids, you are fortunate.
Very fortunate. It's right on your back doorstep.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
your front doorstep,
It's
actually. Right there.
I think I held the perception, or I would have if I haven't experienced what I went through my sister, that it's the bad people to go through stuff like that. The scumbags,
People
but
think
it
they're
affects
shitty
everybody.
people. A lot of people that go through stuff like that, they're good people. They just went down the wrong road
Yeah.
and they need help turning around.
Hey guys, welcome to the Matt and Monica podcast episode, I believe 7.
Yeah. I think it's 7. Cool.
It's Christmas Eve. And I just decided, kind of randomly pulled this out of my butt to do an episode, kind of still talking about not such a positive subject, but it can be positive depending on your perception. But this time of year, as it does for so many, makes you think about a lot of the people that are no longer here. Me specifically, my sister, she was always big when it came to holidays and, especially Thanksgiving and Christmas. She always, made some of the best Christmas cookies. And
you said she liked to bake and cook and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Does she like Christmas music and she just like got into all of it?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That?
She was kind of, I would say, like, out of my immediate family, she really held us all together, and she made it very fun.
Made it better for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am fortunate to have those memories with my sister. But unfortunately, she's no longer with us as of 2020. She lost a battle with opioids. But yeah, nonetheless, it's kind of what I wanted to talk about, because I think, especially, in 2023, a lot of the focus is elsewhere in what's going on in this world. And I think so much of it is right here in our backyards or front yards, depending on who you are in your home.
People don't want to talk about it. I think they like get in denial almost, like it's not happening here. It's not in my town. It's not in my family.
Yeah.
Like if my friends are doing it, it's like, well, like most of the time you are your company. So if your friends are doing it, you're probably doing it too. But people don't like to talk about it. And I don't think they don't know how to talk about it, because it's an uncomfortable conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a serious conversation, and people don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I'm specifically talking about people not being here. This has nothing to do with specifically what we went through. I just figured this could be a very relatable subject for a lot of people, because I'm sure there's pretty much everybody out there has somebody they wish could be here during the holidays, or in general, but specific.
And we are talking about people that have passed, friends, family, anything like that. But also, I know it's hard when there's still people that are on the earth that aren't in your lives by whatever choices. That's hard too. And sometimes I feel like it's worse when people are still around but are deciding not to be in your life.
Yeah, life is so short, and that's something I've always been big on. Is a lot of people are very quick to, rather than confronting a situation or a conversation. Yes, you may have some conflict that needs to be had during this for a resolution, but so many people just like to just push things off, and like tomorrow's promised or something, because, well, no, it's not.
We think it is.
Yeah,
we all think it is. Reality.
Yeah,
it's not.
I think everybody has somebody in their life that they could reach out to try to make amends with, or
we all probably have a handful of people that we could probably reach out to.
And we did that this year, actually. We reached out to somebody, and, you know, the logic behind it was, I said to my wife, I'm like, you know, we could try, and if we fail, we just won't be talking to these people. Like, we're already not talking to them, so we have nothing to lose.
Yeah, so I do have to say, my growth in our relationship, I, in the past, tend to keep grudges or just not give my energy to the people or the situation that has happened or is happening.
Yeah.
And you have taught me to speak my mind better, more clearly. Don't be afraid. You know, have balls to say shit. And I do now. And there's been a couple times where like, oh, we should do this. So it's not every single time, you know, confrontation. Nobody likes that. Some people do, but the most important people in my life, you have helped me reconnect with them. Yeah. And you can't put a price on that.
No, you can't. You know, sometimes you can put effort into reconnecting, but there's just nothing you could do. You could try everything in your power to try to reconnect with somebody, and until they're ready,
right?
Unfortunately, you're just sitting there waiting, you know, having faith that they're gonna, you know, come around. And, you know. And
also, I think, as much as you might think about that person that you miss or that's sad because they're not talking to you, I don't want to say on a positive note, maybe on a positive note, they might be feeling the same and they're scared to talk to you.
A lot of people are very stubborn and they don't want to be the one to collapse. And almost as if you were the one to reach out, you are the weaker one.
You're giving.
You are the one. You've failed, and the other individual has won.
They're stronger because they held out longer. Yeah, that's so stupid.
Congratulations if you have the power to not fix the situation.
Actually, that's it sounds so ridiculous and so true with you saying that. It sounds so stupid. Like, oh, good, you're the one that held your ground and didn't say anything. Good, you want props for that? Yeah, it should be the opposite. Yeah.
And you know, going back specifically to my sister, you know, I think she's taught me a lot about life, and I just, you know, this is kind of a personal story, but I think it's all right. I don't think there's anybody that would mind me saying it. I just remember being 14, and I remember going to pick my sister up from college, and it was when she first got into God knows what. But here I was, a little innocent 14-year-old kid in the back seat of my parents' car, had no idea where we were going, and I don't really remember much. I just remember the situation being bad.
You probably remember the feeling that you felt.
Well, I just remember being that typical, like I picture my kids, you know, just like video games and
kind of in their own little world.
Yeah. Very separate from adult reality of how quick life can slap you in the face or knock you down. In this case, my parents. But, you know, my sister was always one of those people, you know, she's very athletic. She did a lot of things. She was always very active, did great in school. And I think for a lot of families that may not have had to deal with any sort of drugs or alcohol abuse with their kids, you are fortunate.
Very fortunate. It's right on your back doorstep, your front doorstep, actually.
You know,
right there.
I think I held the perception, or I would have, if I haven't experienced, you know, what I went through my sister, that it's the bad people to go through stuff like that. You know, the scumbags,
people,
but it affects everybody.
People, a lot of people that go through stuff like that, they're good people. They just went down the wrong road. And they need help turning around. And
that's the thing. I think everybody in this entire world, you know, at some point in your life, you're one decision away from being that person that you may be judging. And
I've been caught judging people, like we all do, and I'll admit that. You know, you look at someone on the corner that looks like they're, you know, on something, and you're like, ew, what the heck? You know, what's wrong with them? Blah blah blah. You don't know why they're there. You don't know what happened to them. Is it kind of but they need help. And obviously they maybe don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, I didn't realize, you know, I keep going back to this. I feel like in so many of my episodes I've talked about it. Like, we have so much control over our own lives.
Yes.
You know, and I never realized it. And granted, my issues this year are different than addiction, but I still had hard, difficult things this year. Just because my issues are different from somebody else going through something. I mean, my issues are mine, yours are yours. But
there's different levels. You cannot compare your problems with anyone else's.
You absolutely can't. But you know, I wish I knew what I knew this year when I was younger. I really, truly do, because I could have done some great things. But unfortunately, sometimes the only way you can really learn things about life is if you have faced adversity firsthand. And
well, it's like when we're talking about yesterday, and you kind of said the same thing yesterday, but you still would be different. Like even if some of the stuff that you know now you learned when you were younger, you still wouldn't be who you are right now.
Yeah, because it's ingrained into me much differently because of the adversity and stuff. That's
the other things you've been through. Your maturity.
Well, you can't appreciate the ups if you haven't experienced the downs. And they say that the lower your downs, the more difficult things you go through, it makes you appreciate everything else that much more.
Yes.
So it's like, in a way, I keep hearing, that especially in the motivational stuff that I listen to, like, you really should embrace adversity. You should welcome it. The more difficult the shit that you go through is, the stronger you can be if you make it out of it.
You should love your shitty situations.
Yeah. If you're able to embrace that mindset, you're going to be able to change things that you just never thought you could.
It takes a lot to train your brain to think differently, and it's taken years. I'm like almost 40, and I still sometimes struggle with controlling my mind.
Sorry. But,
you're right behind me.
Seriously though, like, you really can change a lot within your own life and things that are within your control. And if a lot of people, I think, do drugs or they feed their addiction based off of their hard lives that they go, and a lot of people have that whole poor me mindset. Yeah. And they feel bad, like, why me? Why did I deserve this? And I can tell you that because I have been there. I've been that exact same person where I'm like, I'm not a bad person. Like, what did I do to deserve to go through these difficult things? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, and that thought process doesn't do anything. It literally doesn't do anything. The more you feel bad for yourself, the more other people feel bad for you. None of that does anything.
Yes, but you mentioned the things that you can and cannot control in your life.
Yes.
You can control how you react to the things in your life.
Yeah.
That's a whole other side of controlling or not controlling your experiences in your life. React how you, or control how you react to it.
That's all you can do.
Yes.
And if you can somehow look around you and think to myself, wow, I got a really shitty life right now, but if what he's saying is right, if I can come back from what's going on right here, this mess, if I can do that, and according to what I'm saying right now, you'll be infinitely better than you ever have been. And that's a powerful thought. Yeah. But the problem is, I'm very fortunate because I don't know what it's like to have the physical addiction to narcotics or opioids especially,
but it's also, I think we need to also say it's not just drug or alcohol. People are addicted to many other things, like shopping, gambling, all that kind of stuff, and it's all negative if it's controlling your life. If you're losing pieces of you and hurting yourself and your family and your friends, like, that's not okay. You gotta fix it.
I think ultimately it all starts with people need to say, okay, I have an issue.
Yes.
I am no longer going to blame everybody else for my fucking issues and problems. I'm not going to think poor me anymore, and I'm going to own my own and be held accountable for my own actions. Yes. And I'm going to make changes starting now. And like people we talked about, we made a little short video yesterday that posted like, oh, my New Year's resolution. Come on. Like, that is the most
2024
crock of shit thing I've ever heard. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Like, start now, because that's all you have.
What is different about the first of the year opposed to last week? Like, okay, it's a new week. Monday, start Monday. Like, okay, you don't even need to do that.
Time is time, and time will not stop for you.
Yeah.
You need to do what you got to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I wanted to say something and I forgot what I was going to say. I thought it was important. I'll think of it. But anyway, I think with people not being in our lives during the holiday season is very hard for many, many people. And I think I remember what I wanted to say. Just because you're going through a shitty time in your life, or you're like, oh, I hate my life, my job sucks, I don't have a job, I hate my home, I have no money, and you think it's okay for you to be mean to other people, that annoys me, because no one should be rude or mean to anybody. I think if you're going through a really, really hard time and you need help and you're just miserable, if you start being kind to other people, it'll start lifting you up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just be kind and shoot out that positive energy, just not negative energy. And if you shoot out positive energy, good things will, start to happen.
Yeah.
And you just need to not just be like, oh, poor me, I hate my life. Change stuff.
I had some pretty cool stories. I was actually telling my mom about a story last night, and I don't think I talked about this on a podcast, but did I talk about that whole thing when we were on the boat and the guy I met? And
I don't.
fuck, I'll tell it really. I'll try to make it short though. So my wife and I were we went out for the chicken wing run. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's when a bunch of people that have really, really nice like cigarette boats, like fast boats, and they race from one end of the lake to the other. It's hosted by the Silver Beach Fire Department. They do a phenomenal job.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And people come from all over the place. I believe out of state. With these boats that I can only dream of someday owning.
Yeah.
But they race across the lake down to some of the restaurants, bars, and then other end of the lake. And I never really been down there yet, but and then they stop at what's called 3 Mile Bay, which is a beautiful spot. It's like a sandbar area. You can only get to this spot by boat because it's state land that is owned along this 3 Mile Bay. But it's like a foot and a half deep water for, I think it's not really 3 miles. I believe it's like a mile and a half or something like that. But there's a perfect sandbar it's beautiful.
Just
anyway,
walk around and
mingle
and it's
so
amazing.
Her and I went out on this, I think it was September 15th or so. We went out for this chicken wing run. It wasn't that warm this day. It was like 70 degrees, and we just wanted to go out in the water, watch the boats fly by, and we're gonna go back in. Well, we get out there and we see all the boats fly by. We got them just in time. We have some pretty cool videos. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, we last second we're like, hey, should we go down to 3 Mile Bay? And like we had the dogs with us. We didn't have any food, and I'm like, shit, we didn't prepare for this. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Worst case scenario, we turn around and come back, and it's 10 miles down the lake one way.
Seems like it takes forever to get there.
Yeah,
we're cruising.
So. We flew down there, and sure enough, there's a ton of boats. And even though it was like 70, not even 75 degrees and breezy, it was somehow incredibly warm. Mm-hmm. And so we parked the boat next to all these other boats, and we flew on music, and it was so warm. And maybe because it was shallow water, the water was really warm, which made it feel a little warmer than it really was. But we hung out there, had a couple of drinks, and again, no food, so that kind of sucked. But we decided to take the dogs for a walk in the water along the boats and just kind of people watch. And so we walked down past all these boats, and all of a sudden there's somebody with a pit bull that was very similar to our dog. And, we end up letting our dogs off the leash. We end up hanging out with these people, and our dogs were playing. They loved each other, and all three of them, Arrow was with us too. And this guy invited us over to have some food. And initially I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm like, actually, hold on. I'm like, I didn't bring any food today. If you don't mind, I would love a hot dog. They had a grill right on the boat.
So nice of them to ask.
Yeah, it's cool. And we sat there and we mingled with these people, and I thought they were like, they just radiated good people.
Yeah.
At least they appeared.
They were so nice.
So
yeah.
Needless to say, there was one guy kind of standing off to the side. He didn't have a drink in his hand or anything. Apparently he couldn't drink, but I didn't know that at the time. And he just had a look on his face that I felt on and off throughout this year, where it's just, he looked like he was bumming, man. And most of his hand was blown off. And I walked up to this guy standing there by himself, had a fresh bandage, most of his hands gone. Like, when I say gone, he had a pinky, everything else is just literally from here up was gone. No thumb, nothing. And he looked like he's bumming. And I decided to stop and talk to this guy for a couple minutes. And, I kind of came right out of the gate with it. Yeah, I was very blunt. Like, hey, I generally wouldn't ask this, but I'm curious. What did you do to your hand? And, he rattled off this story that you could tell that he's memorized because he's had to tell it over and over and over to so many people. But listening to him tell the story, there was so much that we had in common. And one of the biggest things we had in common was he's like, I'm not a bad person. He's like, even before I lost my freaking hand, I was having a shit month before, I had X, A, B, and C go wrong, and you name it. And he's like, I just don't get it. He's like, I'm not a bad person. I try to do the right thing. I'm good to people. I'm nice to people. He's like, he's like, and this is just icing to the cake, or, I'm paraphrasing, but, I'm like, dude, tell me about it. And I relayed to this guy, even though our issues are so different, like you couldn't even, it had nothing to do with one another. Like,
yep,
I'm going through shit. You're going through shit. And like pretty much everybody that I've spoken to this entire year is going through shit in some way, shape, or form. But this guy, and I asked him what happened. He told me a story about what happened. That's kind of his business, and that would probably narrow it down quite heavily if I haven't already to who this person was. So I don't want to be like that. But needless to say, this person seemed as if they really enjoyed talking to me, and I really enjoyed talking to this guy.
You were talking for a while.
Yeah,
and I felt good for him. And you understanding, you had a shit time in the last however long, and he did too. And
I mean, we went from like, you know, I was kind of bumming a little bit, but I felt a lot better talking to him, and he was like smiling and stuff, and we're laughing back and forth. But yeah, you just, sometimes you never know, being there for somebody, it can be so incredibly powerful.
You never know.
Like that person, I don't know him. I believe I remember his first name, but who knows? Maybe somebody will see this video and they'll be like, "Hey, dude, some guy was talking about you."
Yeah.
On YouTube and shit.
Yeah.
You're on a podcast, but
it's just, you know, people go through stuff, and it's hard sometimes when you're like, I'm a good person, I don't understand why all this is happening to me. Yeah. Why do I deserve this and stuff? But you just can't really think of it like that. I mean,
no, you can't. I mean, it doesn't really do you any good. So all you can do is have faith that things are going to be all right. And if you can think about all those negative things that are happening to you, like this guy, like if you can think about it as being a positive thing, it's going to transform you. It's going to transform your perception. And when you run into a hard day, it's going to help you, because if you think that these hard things or bad things that are going on are really building blocks to your entire life, then you're going to welcome adversity. And when that happens, it changes things. Because if something else I heard is, you know, the worry is a product of the devil. You know, even if you're not religious, it's fine, whatever. But you know, worry doesn't do any good. Like,
it just kind of holds you deep into like emptiness.
And like, things are going to happen whether or not you worry about them or not. Shit's going to happen, and you can dwell on it. And by all means, go ahead. If that's what you want to do, is sit around and dwell on whatever you get going on all the time, by all means. But on the flip side of things, I can tell you what, when you can stop worrying about things, doesn't mean you don't care. And if anything, like now I still worry about things, but I probably care more than I ever have. But I'm kind of happy with this mindset.
Differently though, like you're not letting the worry take you over.
100%.
Because that'll just eat you alive. Yeah. And people need to know, if you're trying to like teach yourself to think like that and feel like that, it's not going to happen in a night or a day. It's going to take time. You have to, it's like when you're young and you're learning the alphabet or learning math or word spelling, anything like that. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's like studying. Speaking of,
you're fine. Oh no, you just reminded me, because we were talking about this before we started this podcast. Speaking of worry, like I worry a lot about what people think, way too much. Every day I'm worrying a little bit less. Clearly I did that stupid fucking sweatpant challenge yesterday.
I hope you enjoyed that. Oh my gosh. Was killing me. I was laughing so hard.
That took like a lot of convincing.
So stupid hard.
Every day she's like, "Are we gonna do it? Are we gonna do it?"
Literally since the first little short that we did, telling you guys that we were going to do it, every night I'm like, we need to do it. We need to do it.
Is all I can picture. Is, you know, I don't care for the most part who sees that video. All I can picture is the people at my new employer, which is a pretty professional environment. They're like, "Oh, I heard this new guy has podcast," and I picture them watching, be like, "This is our new person."
We got a winner. Right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my only judgment that I'm still a little concerned about that, but I hope that they know it's all fun and games. We have good intentions behind what we're doing.
We had a good time. We were trying to put on sweatpants without our hands. We weren't doing anything reckless or
it just looked ridiculous.
Maybe immature, but whatever.
I think we laughed about that, watching it over and over and over.
Oh my gosh.
Especially just trying to edit it real quick. But
it was amazing. We're gonna have more videos like that for you guys too. We just have to have ideas.
This still goes back to the worry though. Like I'm still worried about doing this. Obviously, if people can't tell from my first videos to now, or our first videos to now, like I'm a lot more comfortable. I have a lot less filter, which is scary, because a lot of people that know me in the past without a filter, I tend to say things. Sometimes I say things without thinking. Sometimes I have been offensive.
Sometimes I should be like, bleh.
Yeah, no, I think it's natural. Yeah. I'm not always right. Yeah. She's not always right. I mean, she's hardly ever right. But anyway.
And I wanted to say, like with us getting more comfortable and whatnot, today I actually said something to you about I'm waiting for someone to troll us or say negative stuff.
That's a challenge. You don't need to say that. We can delete that then. Yeah, I'm gonna cut that part out. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, but like something else I wanted to bring up is like her and I had a friend over. I don't think I talked about this on the podcast. Okay. I had a friend over. This is not that long ago, and this friend is definitely going to watch this podcast. He's probably going to laugh because we were watching TV or whatever, and very long story short, her and I got into a little bit of an argument. It wasn't that serious, but
I don't even know what it was about.
I do. But I went outside, my buddy, and she stayed inside to watch a movie with her girls and stuff, and like she was mad, and I walked outside, and like we sat outside, and he's like kind of like worried. He's like, "Oh, are you gonna go inside?" And like, "Is she all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, she's fine. She'll get over it." Like, and I wasn't being a dick. It sounds like I'm being a dick. I mean, I might have been a little bit, but I know what she can tolerate, and I know she knows my intentions behind an argument or whatever we're disagreeing on. And generally, I'm always right. No, I'm just kidding. No, but generally, generally, I don't have like a really bad intention behind it, and sometimes we don't see eye to eye. Believe it or not, we argue. We do argue, and like my buddy's like, dude, he's like, I feel so happy. It was so refreshing to see that you guys aren't always this fucking like.
We are human,
yeah,
you know, and we do sometimes have differences in our opinions and whatnot, and it's okay.
Yeah,
you know, I'm always right, but
yeah. But I think we're a lot more normal than people see, and like that's the other thing. Something else that was brought up recently is like, I think it was Jordan Peterson, it was Jordan Peterson. He had like this skit talking about how like somebody drives down the highway and they see this person driving a Porsche, and it's like, oh, that person's lucky. I wish I could be them driving that Porsche. And it's like, you don't know what that person's going through. So that driver, that Porsche, could be thinking about wrapping that Porsche around the next freaking tree that he sees. Like that's
sad.
That's a reality.
Like that, but yeah.
And you know, that's part of something that I've been insecure about is a lot of people on the outside looking into like my life, you know, might be like, because they may be going through something infinitely worse than what I've went through or what have gone through or whatever. And it's like, yeah, and it goes back to the whole comparison. You can't compare your issues to somebody else's. And just because I don't have the same issues as you do, and like, yes, I'm very fortunate in so many ways, and I completely acknowledge that. I am more fortunate than a lot of people in like with her alone. Like, and no, I'm not telling you that to make you feel good. She annoys me. Oh, just let me talk.
Okay, I didn't say anything.
No, but I am very fortunate, and it doesn't mean like my issues aren't very, very real though. And we all need to be compassionate for those people that we don't know what they're going through, especially this time of year. It's definitely an eye opening. I don't dread holidays, even though, you know, they're not always the easiest. You know, I welcome them because I live for family, friends and family, and nothing's more important. And this time of year, you generally have family to come around and or friends that you may not see all the time. So
yeah, I know a lot of times people feel alone though. Like some of their families live far away and they can't come see them. Sometimes, you know, everyone's so busy. It's so hard to make plans to see everyone.
Yeah. And if anybody is, you know, alone on the holidays, you don't really have any friends or family, we could always use extra chairs if you have any extra ones. No, sorry, I heard that online a couple years ago. I thought it was
that's
hilarious.
Mean.
So that's my dark sense of humor. And,
you know where my brain went? Come on over and hang with us.
Yeah.
And you're like, we could use your chairs. And I'm like, oh, we'll hang out with you.
No. Serious. No, you know, we feel for people that go through shit. And I'm sorry, my dark sense of humor has gotten me in trouble more than once. Just saying,
you're good, man. Don't worry.
But is there anything?
Just keep your head up during the holidays, and before and after, and keep chugging along. Don't stop. Trying to do better every day. And if you're lonely, I mean, we have a Facebook chat now, so if you want to say anything, there's a lot of people in there now.
We created a group because one of the things, I know I've brought this up a lot in the past, it goes back to my insecurity about how we appear like attention seeking whores or like this power couple, like we think we're better than anybody, which we don't. No. One of the things I did is I created a Facebook page as a private group, and I created like a Matt and Monica podcast, like actual Facebook page. So the two separate things. Yeah. Which kind of made things confusing for me even. But me too. And the private group's kind of cool because I don't feel like I can post more there for those people that are like, holy fuck, dude, we get it. You have a podcast. I don't want to see your shit anymore. Because I'm sure there's those people out there. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people that are just negative as shit. That was actually something else I wanted to talk about earlier. I'm sorry. I'm a space case. I'm all over.
It's all right.
But I have met a lot of people this year that are going through shit or that have went through hard times in their life. And I've met a lot of very miserable people that are just bitter people that they literally claim they're bitter and they are rude to people, disrespectful to people because of their bad experiences that they've went through in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you've had a really hard life, or if you went through something that is like shockingly bad, like just hands down, no excuse, never should have happened to the worst person in the world. If you went through something like that, which people do, a lot more people do than I think anybody has any awareness about. If you went through something like that, seriously, don't blame everybody else for and think poor me, and like don't blame you being a bitter asshole based off of something you went through that it's not anybody else's fault. You know, why would you treat other people worse based off of you going through a difficult time at some point in your life? Like that just that doesn't seem logical to me at all, or I don't think it would seem logical to anybody for that matter.
People need to grow and not be so bitter, because it's weird to me. Like, I understand how people can get mad, and if you think about your past, if it's like that bad, you know, sometimes you get angry, but no one, like people like at the store or whatever, if you're mad at them or giving them an attitude, they didn't do anything to you.
We were cashing out yesterday at Marshall's doing some last second shopping, and there was a line. It was massive.
Mm-hmm.
And we get up to the cashier, and she was actually pretty damn friendly.
She was.
And you know, and I'm like, hey, how are people today? They're all really friendly since, you know, Christmas is coming up, right? You know, I was being sarcastic, obviously. She's like, oh, no. And like, I'm like, you know, it's funny. Like, there's cashiers at every single window. The line's massive because everybody's like me and waits till the last second. Then people take it out on the cashier. Like
they're going too slow.
Yeah, who's the asshole that waited till the last second? Is it the cashier's fault? Like,
but she was amazing. The line was moving. There's no reason to be pissy towards anybody.
Yeah. So and her and I, I don't know, I kind of subconsciously started doing that this year, where people that work jobs, I don't want to say like entry level, because you know, you do whatever you want. I don't care. You know, nobody's better than anybody. But people that are working those jobs that a lot of people that would just be miserable in, like a cashier job,
almost like just customer service.
Yeah.
Like anything. Yeah, it's hard.
I try to tell them, you know, like, you know, something. Just either just be really nice to them, or I've literally said to people, like, listen, if somebody told me how incredibly valuable being positive is, like back when I was 20 years old, like, hey, don't stop being positive. You know, like, even though these people are working at Subway, for example, had a cashier working at Subway, you know, and he's just so positive. He didn't have to be
positive and nice, and he listened to you. And some people are not like that. Yeah, you gotta, I think, recognize that and tell them that, because I'm sure people do not hear that enough.
No, they don't. I know. I don't ever recall anybody really saying stuff. I've had similar people when I worked at the casino when I was younger. I've had similar people, you know, make comments, or, you know, I think that's a lot of the things. I, you know, used to work for tips, and I realized like, hey, when I'm really nice to people treat me better. And it just, unfortunately, it had like a money incentive behind it. But
yeah, but when you're kind to people and nice, it's like a chain reaction. Yeah. Yeah. Negativity and being rude is also, but if more people are kind and nice to people, more people will be kind and nice to people, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do like to say, though, you know, back to the whole power couple thing, like, I had a good friend of mine also. I imagine he's going to watch this episode at some point. Actually, you know what? He told me I could talk about him. So I'm going to tell you guys a fucking awesome story. You don't know who I'm going to talk about. You'll know very quick. So, last year, my wife and I, around May, it wasn't this year, right? No, it was last year. So her and I went on a motorcycle trip, and we went to Letchworth State Park. And it's a long drive. I don't want to give away our exact location or anything.
It was a long drive.
So we drove across New York State to Letchworth, and we had the intentions of going hiking and stuff. So I have a motorcycle loaded up with a, you know, big backpack and stuff like that. And I got a bagger. It's a Indian Challenger. Fucking love it. But so we loaded up, brought like a second set of hiking boots and stuff, and so we get all the way down to Letchworth, and I guess someone called me. I get all the way to Letchworth State Park.
Beautiful out. Oh my gosh.
Perfect
We're
day.
just ready to go hiking.
Perfect day. We get there, we unload some of our stuff, we change into some of our hiking stuff. We're like, let's figure out where we are, because we've never been there before. And I look at the map, and I'm like, we're not near any real good trails. So we throw shit back on the motorcycle, and I didn't even take off my hiking shoes or anything like that. I took my hiking boots, put them on the dash of my motorcycle. And long story short, that's relevant here, because we're driving down the road in the middle of the park, which it's a big park. I believe it was like 20-mile road. Yeah. and going along the canyon or whatever. And there's potholes, massive potholes. And I'm driving like I normally do, a little carelessly. And my boots are in front of me on my dash, and I don't want them to fall. So I grab one of the boots. I go to hand it to her. I look at her, hand it to her, and then I look forward, and there's a pothole that's like 7 foot long, 7 foot wide.
Yeah.
And there was no avoiding it. And I was doing like probably 40, 45 or so, fast enough to the point it wasn't good. Hit it straight dead on, and it was bad. It was like the shape of the pothole was like a pool. It was like gradual deeper. And then it had like a 5-inch lip straight up and down.
Just bam, so stopped.
Needless to say, Indian motorcycle rims are not fucking cheap. And it cracked my rim, and we were on the side of the road there. State Park Police ended up being a savior. I used to work for the State Park Police as a ranger, kind. So I kind of had an idea of how they operated, and I flagged them down, got a hold of them. This guy, like, he took us to where we had cell phone signal, and he was a stand-up guy. Yes, I'd love to put a shout out to the New York State Park Police for that reason. Incredible individual. Yeah. If there was more law enforcement like that guy, this entire world would be a better place. Yeah. But anyway, long story short, I'm like thinking, what are we going to do? So it was Memorial Day weekend, and I'm former service. Actually, at that point in time, I was still technically in the reserves. Yeah. But so I take a picture of my bike on the side of the road. I post a picture on Facebook.
Mind you, it was like 1,000 degrees outside. Right? Yeah. It was hot as shit outside, and we're dying on the side of the road.
I think we ran out of water and stuff, and it was a pretty bad day. I mean, we still stayed pretty positive for sitting there. We're on the side of the road.
It was a fun experience with you. But we're on the side of the road for hours.
About 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, probably.
And again, we didn't really have good cell phone signal where we were. So after the police officer got us, we got a hold of a tow company. We were waiting there for hours for this tow company. But I posted a picture of my motorcycle on the Indian Challenger. Maybe it was Indian Motorcycle, one of their Facebook pages, just nonchalant. I'm like, yeah, what a fucking bad day, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, some guy messaged me, Matt McGain, can't remember his last name. But either way, he's a good friend of mine now, a Facebook friend. Never met this guy before in my life. He comments on there, but like, hey, if you need a ride, let me know. So I messaged him like, hey, I appreciate it. I'm like, I live like far away, like the other side of New York State. He's like, well, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here, but he said something along the lines of like, if you need help, it's the least I could do. I appreciate your service to our country. It's Memorial Day weekend. I'd love to get back or something like that. I'm like, dude, I am like 3 hours away. He's like, how about this? He's like, since I live in the direction of where you are, can you get a tow truck? Cause my insurance only covered, I want to say 75 miles, and he was like 50 miles in the direction of where we live. So I'm like, what if I get towed to your house? Are you sure? And I'm like, you really don't have to. And he's like, no, absolutely. So we get towed to this guy's house. Mm-hmm. He loads us up on his trailer with his SUV, and he tows us all the way across the state. And like
all the way home.
This guy was the most stand-up, genuine dude.
Yep.
And I'm sure this guy's been through some shit just because of how fucking real he is. Not saying everybody that's real has to go through shit, but I'm finding a pretty strange coincidence when it comes to that this year. Mm-hmm. But needless to say, it was a great individual. He's been my friend. I've talked to him this year through some of the shit that I've been through, and he's helped me out.
It's kind of amazing how you meet people. It's like people like that are angels, like throughout your life and different things, different timing in your life. And it's like, if it wasn't for him, it's so crazy. I don't know what we would have done, and we're so thankful. It was crazy.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy, and I still have been talking to him recently, and I mentioned him like, I want to tell that story on my podcast. Don't worry, I won't mention your name. He's like, yeah, fuck it, you can mention my name. And he's not one of those people. He's a humble dude. He doesn't. I don't think he necessarily cares about recognition, but he probably thought to himself like, it's nothing wrong with a good story of somebody doing something nice for somebody unconditionally, which is like 90% of the world nowadays is like, let me make it.
He didn't want anything for it.
Oh man.
And we're like, no, but like he just wanted to help. Yeah, that's all. More people need to be like him.
We haven't seen him since. We should reconnect. Maybe
he'll be on. We were supposed to go hiking with him. Remember? Yeah. Coincidence, but I like that story, and I would do it all over again. And going through times, like
I would have rather. Actually, now I think about it, would I have rather not broke down and not had that story of that amazing experience of meeting that amazing human. That's an interesting thought.
Like, we're supposed to meet him, and he was supposed to meet us for a reason, and he's.
I don't know, man. No offense, Matt. If you are going to watch this. A pretty nice fucking day. I mean, you're cool and everything, but that was a long drive. No, I'm just kidding.
There's always more hikes, but
yeah. And you you don't know how much people can change. And who knows, him doing that amazing thing. You know what? I don't remember what it was, but I remember specifically something happening after that it made me reflect on him doing that for me, and I did something for somebody.
Well, I was literally just going to say, if anyone really takes the story in,
do something incredibly nice for somebody unconditionally, even if you don't know them.
Yes.
And it could change the trajectory of their entire life.
Anything like that can change something big for people. I don't think people understand the little things are the big things. It's a little reaching out. It's like that text message or that call saying, hey, Merry Christmas. Hope you're doing good. Whatever.
Oh my gosh.
It mean everything.
Especially if there's any sort of tension between you and somebody else. Like, what a better time of year to just be like, hey, just thinking of you. I hope you're doing okay. And like,
it's time for giving, which should be every day of the year.
The power of forgiveness. That's a wild subject. We could go on.
That's a whole other podcast.
It definitely is. But, oh man, there's so many stories from this year alone that I would just love to share.
We'll share some more, but
I kind of want to keep this a little shorter than normal.
We just wanted to share a couple stories. You're the best storyteller, so he always tells the stories. But
no, she's got some stories too. It's just
those ones, whatever. But so just
someday
we hope that everyone is going to have a good holiday, and hopefully everyone can be with the people that are here. You know, spend time together, show love, be kind, be giving.
Yeah, love those people that are in your life now that
life is too short. Granted.
I take everybody and everything for granted. It's just a matter of how much we can control to not take things fully for granted. And I only say that I think we all do, because the way I look at it, if you knew that today was your last day to be on this earth, if you're going to act any different than you would prior to that, then you take things for granted. And I knew if this is my last day on this planet, I take her for granted. I take the dogs that have much shorter lives than we do and stuff like that. We talked about recently. Like, I'm like, it's weird to think, like, you know,
just try to soak it in, soak in life, and be happy. Love.
Anyway, Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Stay safe.
Yeah, we hope this speaks to somebody.
Thanks for the love. Shout outs, all that, everything.
Yeah. It's insane. Man. It is really insane. Yep. It's a cool feeling.
It definitely is. So much support.
Yeah.
It's unreal. We love you guys.
Yeah. I agree. But anyway, you guys take care. Have a good one. Have Happy New Year. We'll probably throw something out for New Year's Eve or something.
Oh, we will for sure.
Yeah. Take care, guys. Bye.